back to my channel. You are watching Nasira's Heart, and this is episode 5 of Rose Petals Revived. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for taking the time to stop by. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for having a heart regarding domestic violence and violence against women and children. Specifically, these episodes are geared toward talking to women who are in the midst of their domestic violence situation. We may focus on pre and post, but during is a time when I notice there's not a lot of focus, there's not a lot of conversation, there's not a lot of dialogue while someone is in the midst. And typically, because many people isolate, some people think it's toxic drama, some people don't want to get involved. There's many reasons why this period of time there isn't a lot of focus on. And some people say they don't know, or you might get some negative feedback or some backlash. Why aren't you leaving? Why won't you do this? How come you won't do that? There's many people that have a lot of solutions. However, they don't really know the ins and outs and all of the dynamics of your situation. And sometimes it's not that easy. So we discussed that on previous episodes. We know that it can be difficult sometimes. We know that some people may feel like you must love it. There's all different types of opinions, some positive and some negative, depending on where someone's experience is in relative to the situation, or having known someone or been in the situation themselves. If you know someone but you have never experienced it yourself, you're going to kind of have a perch view. You're off in the distance looking out and from afar, you know what I mean? Like looking through a glass window. You don't really know what's happening, but you can see what's going on, but you really don't have all the facts. And then if you yourself have been victimized or gone through it or whatnot, then you may have a little bit more background as I do. And so, again, like I stated before, I definitely have been studying human behavior in current courses, and then also I also have seen firsthand as a teenager, whether it was from friends, mostly friends during my teenage years, and then also my home life, and things like that, and then even on to adulthood, and then being in my own relationships and experiencing violence, whether it was verbally, physically, mentally, psychologically, spiritually, all of those things were impacted during the situation. And so the problem that I wanted to really address is how women end up in multiple relationships like that. Some people might experience it one time, some people might experience it a few times, but I wanted to take a look at, how do we even end up there? How does that even happen? You know what I mean? And in the previous episode, I talked about self examination, and it's not about blame. You know what I'm saying? It's not about any of those things. It's not about attacking a person who's going through. However, even I stated before, there are certain factors that might put you in close proximity to having going through that again. You might, you know what I'm saying? So if you've seen it in your home, if you were a witness to it, in your neighborhood, in your community, you might be more likely to go through it yourself when you get involved in this relationship, because it's normalized. It's, people are doing it. What's the big deal? You know what I'm saying? And so you might internalize thinking that that's normal, or that's a way to show love or an affection. All of those things could be play a role in how you end up in those situations. And so anyway, the other thing is that one of the things that we're talking about in this episode is mental health. And one of the things that I had talked about in a previous episode was how sometimes your abuser can try to manipulate you into thinking that something is going on with you, that you're going crazy, that some of the things that are not really happening to you, especially if they're very manipulative, if they're doing things, moving your items, taking stuff from you, um, you know what I mean? It could be so many different things that are happening, and you're like, I know what's happening, and maybe you don't have a lot of proof at the time, but the person will gaslight you into thinking that these things are not really happening, and that maybe you need some help and there's something wrong with you. And then, they could be secretly building a case against you to say, oh, you have mental health problems, so no one's going to really believe you. But the one thing that people need to understand is just because a person may suffer from PTSD or some other mental disorders or whatever the case may be, does not mean that they're a liar. And that does not mean that there's not something that could be possibly happening to them. And so this is the problem that people run into, is that they're experiencing things, and if you see them and they smiling and they look okay, and or something is going on, you know what I mean, that they don't really like look like they're going through, because apparently people want you to be looking disheveled. They want you to have bruises on your eyes, marks on your throat, that you have to have some physical evidence in order for people to believe that something is truly happening to you, because your mind apparently isn't as important. Your spiritual health, your physical health, all those things do not appear to be as important as, whether somebody is stomping you out or choking you out every day. So the thing about it is that the mental health is important. We need our mind to function. We need our mind to go to work so we can think. We need our mind so that we can manage our affairs and our children and whatever else is going on in our household and all of those things. And if you are battling someone every day, just think about that. 365 days in a year. Every single day that you're battling someone. You know what I mean? It may not even get physical, but you're arguing, it's fussing and fighting, you're defending yourself, you're constantly on guard, you're constantly having to be the private investigator of your own life to make sure that, nothing terrible is going to be happening to you, or that someone is not doing things in a manipulative manner. I mean, could you imagine what that is like for someone, and how that can affect your mental health on a day-to-day basis? It's very serious. You know what I'm saying? And then if you are not thinking straight, if you are not going, being able to manage all of those emotions and all of those feelings and all of those things, it starts to manifest itself in the rest of your body. You start having aches and pains. Your neck, it might be stiff. You know what I mean? And your back is hurting. You know what I'm saying? You're getting headaches and migraines. You, you're not eating. You're losing weight. There's all of these different things that start to occur. You see people and you think something might be going on because maybe they're losing weight. They may, you're like, wow, you know what I'm saying? You're on a diet or something like that. And they're like, no, but it's stress. The stress affects your appetite. You know what I'm saying? And these are not new things. Some people maybe don't think about it or examine it in that way or think it's relative. However, it is. It is. You know what I'm saying? And so these are things that people experience all the time. You know what I'm saying? And if you are having to be battling someone all the time. It's not that you work in that sort of job. It's not like you're going to a job and you're getting paid, to be on some sort of debate and you know what I mean? That's different. But if you in your own home, which should be your sanctuary, which should be your private place, your peaceful place, your place of zen, whatever the thing is. And if you have hostility inside of that environment on a day-to-day basis, that is going to affect you. It's going to affect the way you interact with other people. It might make you more hostile. People might understand, like, why is that person so hostile? Why are they so angry? Why are they? Because they're going through. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it that I always said is that no person wants to go out into the world and battle out there and then come home and have to battle their loved one. No one wants to be experiencing that. And so your mind is something that goes through undue stress and strain on a regular basis. You're tired, you're exhausted, because you know how much work it takes to constantly be on guard, how much energy that you're using to constantly be in investigation mode, to constantly be trying to figure out and make sure that somebody is not trying to do harm unto you. Do you know how much energy that you use? So you're tired and you're exhausted. You know what I'm saying? And you don't even feel like doing anything. You become antisocial. All of these things can be affected because you don't want to bring your situation around. The family's like, come by, come see us, come do this, come here, come do this. But you know what I'm saying? It's hard for you to even enjoy yourself because you're thinking about what's going to happen when you get back home. Because sometimes if you're having a good time, And then you come back home, you might encounter some discord, and no one wants to look forward to that. So, how can you even really let loose? How can you really even relax? How can you really even enjoy the company of others if you have to constantly be worried about what's going to occur once you get back home? So these are things that women are experiencing on a day-to-day basis. And like I said, you don't have to look tattered and battered in order for you to be experiencing something, in order for you not to know that someone is going through some things. And like I said before, a lot of times people feel like they have to cut people off, they're in negative, or they feel like the person's toxic, or they feel like this, or they feel like that. But people do need support all the time, whether it's a conversation, whether you're praying for them, whether are sending them something, letting them know that you're thinking of them, sending them a text message, letting them, hey, I'm thinking of you, you know what I mean? I'm praying for you, whatever the case may be. You may not have to always physically be someplace in order to support somebody. Because think about long distance people that have friends that live in other states. Those people aren't able to come by their house every single day. However, they're able to talk to them, and maybe they might not talk to them as often, but they still send them a text to let them know, of course you want to be having your boundaries. We get that. People are into the boundaries and things now, and I understand that. But at the same time, is that when you abandon people, you know what I'm saying? You actually are giving more room for the person who is abusing them to have more control over their situation. And sometimes that might be what they're looking for. That might be what they want to have happen to you. They might want everyone to forsake you so that they can be the one, you'll have to run back to them. They'll be like, see, they don't love you. Nobody cares about you, just me. You see, and so then, what are you gonna do? You're like, well, that's probably right. Yeah, they don't care about me. They don't do this and that. So you have to fight through that the best way you can. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna tell you, I have faith. I am a believer in Jesus Christ, and I thank the Lord that I have had that. If I didn't have my faith, I don't know if I would still be here. I probably would be an alcoholic or some other addict of some sort, because the things that a person can experience, you're just a human being. I don't know why people think that just because you're a black woman that you can just endure it all, that you could just take it all, that everything, you know what I'm saying? You just so resilient, and so you can persevere through every single thing that happens to you, and then it doesn't affect you in some way. You know what I'm saying? And then if, I hear people say, for instance, you know, to have your faith. However, the problem that people might run into is, like you said, as soon as somebody finds out you're going through, then where is your people that are still around? Where are the people that are calling you up and saying that they're praying for you? Where are those people? These be believers that you might know. You know what I mean? Or even, that's what I'm saying. Like, the support circle gets really, really small when someone is going through, especially if it's long term. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times people run into problems. You have somebody that has children with the other person. People still have rights unless the person is harming the children. Typically, the courts are not going to remove their rights from that person. You know what I'm saying? So they're still going to have rights. So that means you're still going to have to interact with this person in some way. Whether you have a coordinated place that you drop the children off, to your parents or some other thing like that, they're still going to give that person rights until they figure out that there's no harm being done to the children. You know what I'm saying? And so that's, something that people might run into, and maybe they might not have the money to fight the other person. Maybe they might not be able to, leave, you know what I mean? Or if you have to deal with stalking, you know what I'm saying? Just like the lady that's having the lawsuit about her stalker in this whole case with Fonnie Willis and all of that stuff. You know, the person had a stalker, and this person had connections. Her stalker had connections. They knew people in higher places. And so what does a person do? You see, so it's not as easy as people seem to think that it is to just, escape or move or whatever. But at the same time, you don't want to feel like people are denying you a place to live. People are denying you resources. People are denying you different things because they don't want the drama around them. If you are a social service organization, whether even if you're apartment complex or whatnot, and somebody calls, because right now we're in the age of, people violating your privacy and things like that. So no telling, somebody could know somebody at the complex. You never know what type of things are happening unseen. You know what I'm saying? You never know what is really going on in the background. You know what I'm saying? And you will be surprised at the great lengths some people will go to prevent you from moving on or leaving a particular situation. So you really, 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 really have to be diligent. And again, a lot of times just having a place to talk about these things, just having a place to talk to someone, to vent, to whatever, even if you just want to talk about the topic, you don't have to say that you're going through, but you may be able to talk. And that's what I've created here. And a lot of people sometimes they get afraid because this is a public forum. But the thing about it is that I've seen many people, even people that follow me on TikTok, that they don't even put their name. They're like user such and so, and that's why some people might create aliases because they want to still be able to, get a community while they're going through whatever they're going through without fear of retaliation. So again, if anyone has a channel or anything like that, or they just want to join and they want to come and comment, you don't have to do it as yourself. It's possible to create that. Now there are people, unfortunately, that they might know people and might be digging, or whatever. So you do what you feel is safe. You do what you feel that you're comfortable with. But this is a place. This is a safe place. This is an ignorant space. This isn't a place for negativity or people to come and be attacking people. If you want to have an open dialogue and you want to have talk some common sense, if you want to have a conversation, if you maybe don't have all the answers and you really are inquisitive and you have some questions surrounding some different things, then this is the place for you. However, anything other than that, please continue on, okay? Because this is not about to be that. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to be having to be going through any changes with people getting on here and saying all this stuff. I've seen on other channels where people get on there and they say all this ignorant stuff and be attacking people and saying all this nonsense and people stalking people. And I guess they call these people the trolls. I don't really know. But nonetheless, this is something where people can talk about these issues because I see a lot of issues being talked about, but I don't see enough conversation about this. And I just know that every time I turn around, every week, sometimes several times a week, I see where parents are having to bury their children and the women are dying at the hands of some man, spouse, boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, whatever the case may be, someone that they dated for a short period of time and moved on from, whatever the case, and these balloon releases is sad. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. And so I'm going to be talking about those things here and other things. But again, today, and take care of your mind the best way that you can. Pray for your mind, pray for the Lord to give you a saved mind, pray for the Lord to deliver you from your situation. If you're not a praying person, if you don't believe in Jesus Christ, meditate, whatever it is that you feel like you need to do, but you have to get some strength from somewhere because day in and day out of that psychologically will wear you down. You will become weary. You will feel broken. You depression sets in, anxiety, all of these different things start to happen to you because you're in this battle, and so it's a spiritual battle and a carnal battle, and you're constantly back and forth with it. And so I'm just going to be here. I'm going to constantly do my episodes, and at first I was discouraged, because I didn't have any views and any comments, and that's okay because I feel moved by this, you know what I'm saying? And this has always been something that I've been passionate about. This isn't something that I just picked up and decided to talk about, you know what I'm saying, this year or any other thing. I have been this way ever since I was young. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've been in situations. I'm not the type of person that can stand by and watch. I know these dangerous times, everybody has a gun, so a lot of people don't want to get involved. But back then, I'm telling you, I wasn't the one. I wasn't the one that I'm just going to stand there and watch some woman get victimized. And this is supposed to be someone, even if I don't know the woman, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just can't do it. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people do it, but again, like I said, a lot of stuff is normalized. A lot of people be like, oh, well, we don't know what's going on over there. You know what I'm saying? But I can't do it. And so, therefore, like I said, this topic has been to my heart for a long, long time. And I have encountered many women. I have been supportive to them. I've been there for them when they didn't have no one else to talk to about these situations and things like that. And so, like I said, this is something that's very, very close to my heart because I'm sick of seeing it, to be frank. I'm sick of it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, listen, if we don't get this thing nipped in the bud, this is just going to be ongoing. And I'm like, how many of your daughters have to die before something else happens? I'm just trying to figure it out. I don't know. But this is starting to get ridiculous. And I know that we are in a place where, like I said, this topic might feel negative. It might be triggering to some people and things like that. And it's not to hear negative. It's not about men bashing. It's not about, trying to trigger people. It's not trying to get clicks and likes and doing all of that. But this is a very serious topic, younger, because the girls are getting younger and younger in these relationships. You know what I'm saying? They have some crazy controlling boyfriend at their high school. You know what I mean? And you can see the change that occurs with your daughter. You can see it. One minute she's all outgoing and da 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 da, and she might even be that. But next thing you know, now she's drinking, now she's smoking, now she's, you know what I mean? You can see the shift if you're paying attention. If you're paying attention, you can see and notice the changes that occur with them. And you can know that something's going on, or whether they're in a controlling situation. They got to ask all the time. Now, that's one thing in terms of having a discussion, because you and, if you're married, you and your spouse are, coordinating with each other, and you guys have these discussions about what's going to be taking place. That's one thing. But I'm talking about, you can't go nowhere unless I say, you know, ask me, you know what I'm saying? There's a difference. Like I said, there's a difference between control and being, controlling somebody to having them do, and submission because you know that it's a loving relationship. That's a totally different thing. So, anyway, please like and share, you know what I'm saying? And you will find certain information down in the description box. I love thoughts of the day that I might put down there. And if I have any other information, I also have other videos in the playlist. There's a couple of young women that I follow that cover our stories in terms of things that are happening to us. And so I've added those to the playlist. And again, turn on notifications so that you can see these videos and be notified and things like that. And so I'd love to see you here. I'd love to have conversation, those that are open to it and things like that. You can also follow me. I'm Nasira's Heart on all platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And so I'd love to see you there. Thanks for stopping by, and have a great evening.